The world watches, breath held, as two of the most recognizable figures on the planet step into the spotlight, ready to collide in a way no one ever expected. One is a billionaire tech mogul, a visionary who revolutionized electric vehicles, space travel, and artificial intelligence. The other is a born fighter, a former two-division UFC champion known for his lightning-fast strikes and an even sharper tongue. Nobody could have predicted this matchup. Nobody thought it would ever come to this. But here we are, Conor McGregor versus Elon Musk, a battle that started with a tweet and escalated into an all-out war. It all began as a joke, a playful online jab between the two. Musk, never one to back down from a challenge, made a passing remark about the world of combat sports, throwing out a casual suggestion that with the right training, even he could step into the octagon. Conor, never one to ignore an opportunity for a fight or a payday, fired back with the kind of response only he could deliver. It was brash, it was cocky, and above all, it was a challenge. The internet exploded. Fans from both sides fueled the flames, and what started as an online spectacle quickly turned into something much bigger. Before long, analysts were debating whether a billionaire tech entrepreneur could stand even the slightest chance against one of the greatest fighters in MMA history. Some laughed at the idea, dismissing it as another viral stunt. Others pointed to Musk's physical build, his love for martial arts, and his past training sessions with professional fighters. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as helpless as people assumed. And Conor? He saw nothing but opportunity. A fight like this wasn't just about sport. It was about entertainment, legacy, and, of course, an ungodly amount of money. But what happens when two larger-than-life figures collide? This isn't just about skill or strength. This is a battle of ego, of pride, of two men who refuse to back down. Musk, a man who has conquered industries no one thought possible, isn't about to let a fighter dictate the rules of engagement. And Conor, a warrior who has built his name on proving people wrong, isn't about to let a billionaire walk into his world and steal the spotlight. As negotiations unfolded, contracts were drawn up, and training camps were set in motion. The world could only watch in disbelief. With every press conference, every tweet, every stare down, the tension grew. Elon Musk wasn't just here to play. He was training, strategizing, and proving to the world that he wasn't afraid. But could he really handle the firestorm that was coming his way? Conor McGregor had been in wars before, had taken on some of the most dangerous men in combat sports. Could Musk be any different? The stage was set, and as the day of the fight approached, the anticipation reached a fever pitch. And then the moment arrived. Under the bright lights of a sold-out arena, with millions watching from around the world, the two men finally came face to face. No more Twitter exchanges, no more speculation, just two giants, each with something to prove. The bell was about to ring, and what happened next would shock the world in ways no one saw coming. The roar of the crowd was deafening, a chaotic mix of cheers, gasps, and disbelieving laughter. The camera zoomed in on the two men standing just inches apart under the blinding arena lights. Conor McGregor, a predator in human form, his muscles coiled with the promise of violence, smirked as he studied the man before him. Elon Musk, the enigmatic billionaire whose mind had conquered industries and reshaped technology, stood firm. His expression was unreadable. Was it nerves, determination, or something else entirely? Nobody knew exactly how Musk had gotten to this moment, but everyone had an opinion. Some saw him as a genius playing an elaborate game, always 10 steps ahead. Others believed he had been backed into a corner, his ego unwilling to let go of a challenge that had spiraled beyond his control. And then there were those who whispered that this was something more, something personal. Musk wasn't a man who took failure lightly. He had built his empire on the idea that nothing was impossible, that the limits imposed by the world were meant to be broken. But this wasn't an engineering problem. This wasn't a boardroom battle or a tech war fought with algorithms and innovation. This was the fight world, and in the fight world, only one thing mattered: who could walk away when it was all over. Behind the scenes, McGregor's team had been dismissive at first. They had laughed when the fight was announced, cracking jokes about Musk's lack of experience. But Conor wasn't laughing. He had faced giants before, had beaten men who were bigger, stronger, and more powerful. And he understood something that others didn't. Musk wasn't a man to underestimate. He was obsessed, relentless, and dangerously smart. People had written him off before, doubted him when he first took on the auto industry, mocked his ambitions with SpaceX. And yet, time and time again, he had proven them all wrong. What if this was no different? Musk's training had been shrouded in secrecy. Rumors swirled that he had enlisted some of the best minds in combat sports. Some said he had brought in world-class wrestlers. Others claimed he had a private team of striking coaches drilling him relentlessly. A few speculated that he had gone beyond traditional training, using AI simulations and biomechanical data to optimize his movement. But none of that would matter when the fight began. Theories wouldn't save him from the storm Conor McGregor was about to unleash. As the cameras panned across the arena, capturing the sea of celebrities, billionaires, and fight legends in attendance, the world held its breath. The energy in the air was electric, crackling with the weight of what was about to unfold. Commentators speculated wildly, arguing over what would happen when the first punch was thrown. Some believed McGregor would make quick work of Musk, that this was nothing more than a spectacle, a payday for both men. Others weren't so sure. There was something in Musk's eyes, a quiet intensity that suggested he knew something no one else did. And then, just as the referee stepped forward, raising his hand to signal the start, McGregor leaned in. His voice was low, almost a whisper, but the microphones caught every word. "You ready for this, mate? Hope you brought something more than money." Musk didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He just smiled, the kind of smile that had preceded some of the greatest disruptions in modern history. Whatever was about to happen, one thing was certain: this wasn't going to go the way anyone expected. The air in the arena was thick with anticipation, the tension so sharp it felt like the entire world was leaning in, waiting for the moment fists would fly. The referee stepped back, gave one final glance at both men, and then the bell rang. But what happened next wasn't what anyone expected. McGregor, always explosive, always the one to close the distance first, didn't move. He stood his ground, eyes locked on Musk, waiting. A smirk played at the edge of his lips, daring the billionaire to make the first move. The crowd murmured in confusion. This wasn't the usual McGregor. Something was off. Musk, for his part, didn't hesitate. With surprising speed, he took a step forward, his stance measured but aggressive. Those who had mocked him for even stepping into the cage suddenly weren't laughing anymore. There was a weight to his movements, a precision that suggested he hadn't just been training, he had been studying. And then he threw a kick. It wasn't textbook perfect, but it wasn't the sloppy attempt everyone had expected either. McGregor leaned back just in time, barely avoiding the strike. He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. The billionaire wasn't just here to survive, he was here to fight. For the first time, doubt flickered across McGregor's face. Not fear, never fear, but a realization that this might not be as effortless as he had believed. Musk had spent years breaking boundaries, defying expectations, and proving the impossible wrong. Maybe he had done it again. Maybe this wasn't just a stunt, a payday, or a spectacle. Maybe Elon Musk had actually come here to win. The fight pressed on, McGregor testing the waters with feints and sharp jabs, Musk responding with an unexpected level of control. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't swinging wildly like an amateur caught in the moment. He was waiting, calculating. A dangerous trait in business, even more so in a fight. And then, in an instant, McGregor snapped into his usual self-lightning quick, unpredictable, lethal. He launched forward, his left hand primed for that infamous knockout punch, the same punch that had floored legends before him. But Musk wasn't there. He had sidestepped, reacting at the last possible second, just enough to avoid the full force of the strike. The arena erupted. Nobody saw that coming. And then Musk did something that sent shockwaves through the crowd he countered. A well-placed elbow clipped McGregor's temple, not enough to do real damage, but enough to make a statement. McGregor stumbled back a step, eyes flashing with something between amusement and genuine surprise. This had just become real. The crowd sensed it. The commentators couldn't believe it. Musk had landed a clean shot on Conor McGregor, and the fight had only just begun. But as the round continued, an even bigger shock was unfolding. McGregor wasn't just dealing with a tougher-than-expected opponent, something was wrong. His movement, usually effortless and sharp, seemed slightly off. His reactions were a fraction of a second slower. His breathing was just a little heavier than it should have been this early in the fight. It wasn't enough for the casual viewer to notice, but the fight analysts, the experienced coaches watching from the sidelines, they saw it. Something wasn't right. And then the whispers started. Had McGregor underestimated Musk so badly that he had slacked off in training? Had he partied too hard, taken this fight as a joke? Or was it something else entirely? Had Musk planned for this, prepared in ways that nobody could have foreseen? And if he had, what else was he hiding? The second round was moments away, but the real fight had just begun. McGregor wasn't just battling an opponent anymore, he was battling the unknown. And for the first time in a long time, nobody was certain how this was going to end. The bell rang for the second round, but the atmosphere had completely shifted. What was once expected to be a routine dismantling had turned into something else entirely. McGregor, always confident, always in control, was showing signs of struggle. His footwork wasn't as sharp, his timing just a fraction off, and that single thought ran through the minds of everyone watching. How was this happening? Musk should have been exhausted by now. He should have been flinching, breaking, desperate to survive. But instead, he stood tall, breathing steady, eyes locked onto his opponent like a man who had anticipated every second of this moment. McGregor came out aggressive, perhaps realizing that whatever was happening, he needed to end it fast. He snapped a kick to Musk's body, the kind that had folded seasoned fighters before, but Musk absorbed it, barely reacting. The crowd gasped. Something was definitely off. McGregor pressed forward again, throwing a sharp left hook, but Musk moved just enough to evade the worst of it. That's when Conor's expression changed. There was no longer amusement or curiosity, just frustration. And then Musk did something nobody saw coming. He shot for a takedown. A billionaire, a tech mogul, a man who had spent his life in boardrooms and on factory floors, just took down one of the most dangerous strikers in combat sports. McGregor hit the mat, and for the first time, real panic flickered in his eyes. This wasn't supposed to happen. The crowd erupted, a mix of disbelief and exhilaration. Commentators screamed into their microphones, trying to process what they were witnessing. Musk, with the patience of a man who had always played the long game, controlled the position. He wasn't reckless, wasn't throwing wild punches, he was methodical. McGregor tried to escape, but something was wrong. His movements weren't just sluggish now, they were desperate. And then the final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. The murmurs, the speculation, the slow unraveling of something deeper beneath the surface. McGregor wasn't just struggling. He was compromised. It wasn't undertraining, and it wasn't overconfidence. Something had happened before the fight even began. Whether it was something he ate, a mistake in his preparation, or something far more sinister, McGregor's body was betraying him. His strength was fading, his reactions dulled. And Musk? He knew. He had known the entire time. The audience wasn't just watching a fight anymore. They were witnessing a masterstroke of planning unfold in real time. Musk hadn't just trained for this moment. He had engineered it. Whether it was legal, whether it was fair, didn't matter anymore. This was happening. McGregor struggled, but his body wouldn't cooperate. Musk adjusted his position, locked in a submission, and the realization dawned: Conor McGregor, one of the most feared fighters in the world, was moments away from losing. And then it happened. McGregor tapped. The arena fell into stunned silence. The referee jumped in. Musk released the hold, and for the first time since the fight had begun, he allowed himself to breathe. He had done it. He had beaten a legend. McGregor sat on the canvas, dazed, staring at the floor as the weight of what had just happened settled in. This wasn't just a loss. This was something different. Something deeper. The questions started immediately. What had gone wrong? How had Musk pulled this off? Was it strategy, or was there something else at play? Musk stood in the center of the cage, arms raised, victorious. But as he looked down at McGregor, there was no gloating, no taunting, just that same quiet, knowing smile. Because in the end, it wasn't just about the fight. It never was. The cameras flashed. The world struggled to comprehend what they had just witnessed. And as Musk walked out of the cage, one final thought lingered in the air. Had he just rewritten the rules of combat sports? Or had he played a game nobody else even realized was happening?